Senator, welcome back to the program.
Good morning, Jason. Great to be here.
Have the senators heard from the DOJ yet about the letter you sent?
We have not yet heard from the DOJ. We're hoping to very soon. We hope they take action as we requested.
Any indication that the DOJ might actually do this, because the time is ticking on this administration?
Yeah, I don't have any indication that they're going to do it. I don't have high hopes that they will. It's dramatic action. I think it's absolutely called for. There's 50 states. DOJ is pretty busy, but I remain hopeful that they will respond to our letter because we sent it in all seriousness.
And so Republicans say, listen, we're trying to secure the elections. That's the bottom line.
That's
here.
nonsense.
What do you think is going on?
I think they're trying to do two things. I think they're trying to do two things at once. They are simultaneously trying to rig the election in their favor and trying to...
How so?
Well, let me give the whole statement out. They're going to... Because it's cool. It's really pretty ingenious what they're trying to do. Simultaneously rig the election so that they can win and delegitimize the vote so that if they don't win or if they lose by a narrow, or if they win by a narrow margin, they can blame someone else. So how are they trying to rig it? The actions that are being taken right now are specifically designed to suppress the vote, to keep people from voting, and to scare people from voting. The kinds of things that Paxton in particular is doing. He's going after faith-based, Christian faith-based organizations. For a party and a guy who talks about his Christian faith all the time, I find it quite ironic and somewhat repugnant that he is going after Christian-based organizations who themselves view the teachings of Christ to compel them to help immigrants. These are not people who are trafficking illegal immigrants to this country. They are trying to help people. At the same time, he is going after organizations that are registering people to vote, legitimately registering to vote. In response to what? In response to a Fox News tweet. This is an industry that makes a living by peddling misinformation, and he goes out and takes action against an entity and an organization that have been doing this for decades. They are trying to stop people from voting, to scare people from voting. They're breaking into the homes of elderly people, trying to scare everybody that don't help register people to vote, don't help get people to the polls. They're actively discouraging voter participation. I find that anything but election integrity.
You're fired up about this, but a lot of these actions I wouldn't say are necessarily new to this election cycle.
Well, they're timed very curiously, isn't it? This is August. No, I'm sorry, this is September. This is September. We're less than 90 days out. By the way, if Abbott and the Secretary of State are actually purging voters from the polls right now, they're in violation of federal law. That's something that Abbott had said. All this stuff is coordinated. Right now, less than 60 days before the election, suddenly we're taking these actions? Why is that? Why is that? Because they're trying to tell a story. They're trying to lie to the public that there's some rampant voter fraud going on so that people will protest the election result when Trump loses, which could foment all kinds of unrest. They're also scaring people, and that gets base voters to the polls on the far right. I don't have any respect for these tactics whatsoever. And as far as they haven't forever been going after voter registration organizations that sit outside the Department of Public Safety driver's license places. That's new.
Been there for decades.
They've been there for decades. Why would they be there if they're not trying to register illegal aliens to vote? That is ridiculous. They're there because family members accompany family members to DMV. People who are at DMV say, I don't know about registering to vote. They don't understand. They go outside. Someone explains it to them. They are performing a public service to encourage civic engagement. The very election officials of the regions that were cited in this fake news Fox tweet have confirmed that there is no illegal activity with voter registration going on there, including the local Republican Party chair. This is pure political tactics.
How do you think this is going to impact the turnout from Democrats in November?
I think it's going to make it bigger. I think it's going to continue to make people angry as long as they know what's going on. The election is being delegitimized and rigged, and I think that Democrats are not going to take the risk of letting that happen. They're going to get out and vote. That's my hope. That's my sincere hope. I really hope it backfires. I have no respect for the tactics they're employing right now.
What if you don't hear back from the DOJ by November?
Well, we're on the news right now talking to people. I hope it motivates people to vote. If the DOJ doesn't get active by November, perhaps they'll get active in February, because this is a long game. I want legitimate elections, just like everybody else wants legitimate elections. What's happening right now, the tactics being employed by Paxton and Abbott right now are delegitimizing our elections. They're undermining election integrity. And whether it gets investigated right now or in 3 or 4 months or 6 months, I want it to happen. because in the end, I want people to understand what election integrity truly is. It's an informed electorate participating in the vote, not being scared away, not having people have no faith in the results of our elections, which have been confirmed time and time and time again, audit after audit, to be high quality, high integrity, valid elections.
In this state by Republican secretaries of state?
In this state by Republican secretaries of state.
Let me ask you about the state flood plan. You were at a Senate committee.
Oh, a much calmer topic, yay.
Is it really, though?
Well,
you were at that Senate committee hearing where this $54 billion plan was laid out.
yeah.
How much do you expect the legislature to actually approve? $54 billion is a big check to write and can't be written all at once. But how much do you think the legislature will approve next session?
Well, we need to write a big check because it's not just $54 billion, that's just for the flood plan. To have our state water plan fully funded over time, that's $80 billion. So that's $134 billion, and we haven't even talked yet about a clean water plan. These are great plans, and the Texas Water Development Board is doing really good work. We have scientists doing really good work. We have farmers, we have environmentalists, we have all sorts of people who are working in this space, but it needs the support of the state government. Last session, we put in about $1 billion to water supply. We have been funding the Texas Water Development Board, and the way it works is it's like a bank, right? You put out $1 billion and it might result in $10 billion in investment. So we can get there without cutting $134 billion check. But the seed money was too small last time. It needs to be vastly greater. I would say $2-3 billion. Do I think the legislature will do it? I think there's a lot of people, Republicans and Democrats, who believe, without regard to ideology, who believe that it is time to start making serious investments in state infrastructure, as opposed to, coming back with another round of property tax reductions while our infrastructure lies neglected. Because when I look at what my kids will be facing in this state and what future generations will be facing, they don't need a $17 property tax break. They need water.
Yeah, let's explore that just a tad more here. Water is a bipartisan issue, but it doesn't seem like state leaders and the legislature is really taking this seriously.
I think there'll be a change this session. In my private conversations with people active in this space, again, without regard to party, they are taking this seriously. And it's an opportunity. We have a $20 billion balance. People call it a surplus. It's a balance. The reason it's not a surplus is because we didn't spend it on water infrastructure or electricity or healthcare or education.
This is the extra $20 billion, though, that you guys will have to spend.
It's not extra, it's a balance. But you're right, there's money there. And there's $26 billion in the rainy day fund. A responsible government will take that money, the taxpayers' dollars, and invest it for the benefit of the taxpayers. Not hoard it and not pass it out like cupcakes after dinner. We need to make some responsible investments, and water is one of the premier investments we need to make right now, and I'm hearing bipartisan support for it.
Senator, thank you.
Thank you, Jason.